What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. Welcome to the weekend update with RDAPdan. I think that's what we'll start calling this. The weekend update on Saturdays. Give you all a little bit of time to roll into the room. Sorry I missed you guys last Saturday. Driving back from the camping trip. Hopefully we won't have all these crazy technical difficulties with internet today. Gotta drink my coffee. How are you guys feeling today? I'm a little tired. Hey Jesse, happy Saturday, my man. Looks like everybody's dragging a little bit. I sent the text message out kind of late. Hey Chris. It's funny when you get used to talking to people, when you see them text or chat in the room, it's almost like you can hear their voice and the way they talk in your mind. I can hear you saying, "Hi, Dan." So we're going to talk a little bit today. Going to keep it light, Saturday. Trying to make it too serious. I know you guys are enjoying your weekend because you know you're not getting any phone calls from lawyers or any potential bad news. So the weekends are always kind of relaxing. Nope, I do not know your voice, Jesse. But it was pretty cool. I got some nice emails over the weekend. At the end of last week. Yesterday, I received an email from Serge, who is at Lompoc. And he's there with Todd. So he's actually already met Todd. So he gave me some insight to what's going on. So I've got an update for Todd already. He's just surrendered yesterday for those of you that are watching. And then I got an email from another client who happens to be at Sheridan. So for those of you that, are going to potentially be going to Sheridan, I got some information for you guys. Not a lot, just, little bits and pieces here and there. Some stuff you guys might like hearing. Then I got, a really nice email from just a viewer. I got two emails from viewers. They're not clients. They're just viewers that had some questions. And one of them just had a really nice comment that I wanted to share with everybody. It's not necessarily a nice comment. It's just kind of should be a reassuring comment to a lot of you. So we'll give the room a few more minutes. There's only a couple of you in there right now. Juan Carlos, I got your email. I just didn't have time to respond to you just yet as I was prepping up for our little video showdown here. Oh boy. And you guys got to tell me if this thing lags up or because if it does it again today, there must be something going on with the internet. And I'm going to have to call Comcast and open a can of ass whooping on them. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the video I put out yesterday or not, but man, there's a lot of prison consultants out there charging, I'm finding out, up to like $15,000 for these consulting services. And it's just completely ridiculous. So I had to make a video yesterday hoping to give people other options, and more than trying to just take clients from other prison consulting, I'm hoping that these other prison consultants will just do the right thing and charge a fair fee instead of trying to rob people blind. if you're going to charge somebody 10 grand, 7 grand, even 5 grand in a lot of cases, unless somebody's got a really, really, really intricate situation going on, 5, 10, 7, 15 grand, that's a lot of money. And I think you're really taking advantage of somebody based on fear. The next time this motherfucker gets a file out on another case, I'm going to slam. Yeah, you're definitely going through some emotions there, Juan Carlos, for sure. So me and you are going to have another chat once you're able to calm down and kind of take all this in. Out of curiosity, that email you sent me this morning, did you also send that to the attorneys as well? Because it looked like that was I was CC'd to, so I'm guessing you also sent that to your attorneys. Got to say, you don't hold any punches. All right, so we'll jump into this a little bit here and just kind of get going. Those of you that are late or not making it today or whatever's going on, you can always check it on the replay. McLovin, what's going on? So I got an email from a lady named Diana, and it was just an interesting email to hear. So for a lot of you that are potentially going to camps or lows, and for a lot of you that are just now maybe getting indicted, going through it, I think this would be a good email for you guys to hear. So let's go ahead and start this off here. I wish I had a bigger screen from where I was reading this from. Okay, so the lady's name is Diana. I watched all of your YouTube because it helps filter out the BS media pushes. After watching your video on low versus camp, I realized that as a VA patient receiving treatment for PTSD, I was actually in the same structure as a federal camp. My crime is a 5-year war vet, 3 Purple Hearts, and having severe PTSD, along with multiple disabilities. I thought that the federal camp sounded much better than the treatment I received at the White City Center in White City, Oregon. At one point in time, I considered robbing a bank for $1 and waiting for the cops to show up just so I could get help. I know this sounds bad, but I wish I would have. I was heavily drugged, beaten, and raped by other patients and at White City. Going to a federal camp would have been much safer. I really appreciate the information you put out there for white-collar criminals. It's very scary, and I think this helps reduce suicide. Sincerely, yours truly, Diana. Please give a shout-out to the WFA women's football team, Lady Gades. So there's a shout out to the WFA women's football team, Lady Gades. Not sure who they are, but they sound like they're pretty badass. So I wanted to read that email, guys, because the part that she touches on in the end, talking about people thinking about, contemplating, possibly committing suicide. I don't know about a lot of you guys, but I know there are a lot of people that when they're facing a federal prison sentence and they don't know what's going on, there's the whole factor of the unknown. They really don't know the difference between like what a camp and the pen might be and the violence that goes on in prisons. So I imagine suicide is something that crosses people's minds. And I've actually spoken to a lot of clients where they've had co-defendants or people that were higher up in the situation actually commit suicide once they know what's going on because they can't face the fact that they might go to federal prison. And I don't think it's just because they're afraid of going to federal prison. I don't think they understand what federal prison is really going to be like. And they have this horrible assumption of where they're going. Violence, rape, beatings every day. So if you guys are watching this video for the first time, or maybe you're having thoughts of, hurting yourself or suicide, you definitely need to take a minute and pick up the phone and reach out. Don't try to deal with this by yourself. Don't try to just think you can handle it and you can repress these feelings, because if those feelings become intense enough and you allow yourself to engage in some poor behavior, whether it be drinking, drugs, with that type of a thought pattern, could be disastrous and it could be life-ending. So if you're not going to call me, call somebody, call a therapist, talk to a friend or a family. But more importantly than anything, you need to realize that, if you're looking at federal prison time, it's not the end of the world. A lot of you are going to go. A lot of you are going to come out. Most of you are going to have under a 10-year sentence, and it can be dealt with, with good time, RDAP, halfway house, different programs that might come into play, different things that they're putting out for inmates every day to help reduce sentencing. You never know what's going to actually happen, and taking your life is not the answer. Hurting yourself is not the answer. Trying to run, bail out on the country, skip the country is not the answer, because you don't want this lingering over your head. Just get it behind you and move forward. Jesse, if I'm talking about you, then you clearly need to pick up the phone and call somebody. So that was a nice email from Diana, because it kind of touched base on where a lot of people go. The suicide rate amongst people getting ready to go to federal prison is high. I mean, even people in federal prison, like look at Aaron Hernandez. Whatever did happen or didn't happen, did he have a gay lover? Didn't he have a gay lover? We'll never know all the true facts on that. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But it's the anxiety and the depression can really take over if you don't find a way to deal with it. So don't allow yourself to become a victim to something that you can't undo, guys. So anyway, just wanted to touch base on that real quick. Then I received another email. So I've been talking to this other lady named Mary. She's been chatting with me on my rdapdan Facebook page. And she's a little bit confused, and there's a whole lot of other correspondence prior to this, but I'm just reading this because this is where she had her question. I might be confused. I thought the U.S. attorney gets to decide how long you have to serve the sentence if they don't take it to trial. So with the letters to the judge, is that for trial? So what she's asking, if you're going to take a plea, and let's say you're taking a plea for, a cap of 60 months, or you're taking a plea of 10-year plea or a 5-year plea, and you do not have a mandatory minimum. If you're accepting a plea of a certain amount of time, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the time you're going to get. The judge can go up or down from there. It's not completely up to the prosecutor. You just worked out a plea agreement with the prosecutor that they're not going to try to slaughter you or ask for more time. Basically, you're working out a plea deal to where you're agreeing to a sentence. But if the judge decides to go below that sentence, as long as there's no minimum mandatory, they can absolutely give you a reduced sentence. So when she's asking if the letters that we do for the personal narratives and the character reference letters are specifically for trial, the answer is no. Most people do not go to trial. I haven't had any clients yet personally that have actually gone to trial. The letters typically are going to be used just at the day of sentencing, whether you're going to trial or whether you've taken a plea. Even if you have a minimum mandatory, the letters can still help you to make sure that you don't get anything more than the minimum mandatory. Because if you have a minimum mandatory of 5 years, the judge could still sentence you to more than that if he wanted to. Even if your guidelines keep you under 5 years. Remember, those guidelines are just advisory. They are not set in stone. The judge can go below or above the guidelines. So the point of the letters is to make sure that you have the best chance possible to get the lowest sentence possible, whether that be the minimum mandatory or below if there is no minimum mandatory. So hopefully that all makes sense. Mary, I hope that you get a chance to watch the video. I'll make sure I send a link to you on this. And yeah, so that was just a question that Mary had. So how are you guys doing this weekend? What did you guys think of my thumbnail? I ripped it off from Saturday Night Live in case any of you didn't pick up on that. Let's see what we're reading here. That is Todd. Yes, that's Todd in the picture, guys. I figured we'd put Todd's picture up there since we're going to be chatting about him a little bit today. So here we got another email, another update. This is a client. His name is actually Dan. He's in prison. He's been in there for a while now. He's been over at Sheridan. So he reached out to me. I actually received this email this morning, so I figured I would share. We're going to save Todd's email for last. So let's go ahead and read another email. This is from somebody from Sheridan. So I know a lot of you are probably going to maybe end up at Sheridan, especially those of you that are in the California area looking for RDAP. Hey, Dan, how are things going for you? I hope all is well in your world. Are you still in Spokane? Well, I have some good news. After 11 months of tracking down doctors and counselors, getting paperwork sent in, and waiting for interviews with the RDAP doctor, they finally received the information that you sent over to Grand Prairie, Texas, and agreed to accept me into the program, even though I was originally denied for the program. So I can't thank you enough. Amazing job. I hope you and Shelly are doing really, really well. And if I have anybody to send, I will definitely send them your way. On that, life is pretty quiet here. Now that it's starting to warm up outside, it seems that people are happier here. Sheridan is a very nice setting when the weather is good and all of the grass is green. It's the other 360 days a year when it's raining, snowing, that gets people down. They're supposed to start a degree program here with a national university, perhaps as early as next month. It will be great if I can work on a degree in religious studies while I'm here. Well, I guess that's about it. All of the good news I have for now. I hope things are moving forward. Can't thank you enough. God bless. Tell Shelly I said hi. Talk to you soon, Dan. So that's a client that came on board a while ago. He had a decent sentence, so RDAP wasn't something he needed to get into immediately, but he had very lacking information in his pre-sentence investigation. He didn't have a whole lot of information about substance abuse. He touched on it, but he withheld a lot of information just because, like a lot of you think it can cause more harm than good when you're honest about it during your PSR interview. So we did some additional work, sent over some reports to Grand Prairie, Texas, and it looks like it's paid off. He's now being accepted into the program. So that is awesome news. He's at Sheridan. A lot of you are going to go to Sheridan. Serge is at Lompoc right now where lost my frame of mind there. Where Todd is, and so he should be leaving Todd pretty soon. But it just goes to show you guys that you can't count yourself out until you've put all the effort and work in. Dan's been in there now. He hasn't stopped working. He hasn't stopped trying to get into the program. He hasn't stopped keeping a positive attitude. Even though he was denied, he put faith in the process and let the process do what it needed to do. And it took a few months, but that was okay because I think his sentence was 60 some odd months. So he wasn't in a massive rush to get into the program. So that's awesome to hear things like that because that's why we do what we do, to try to help you guys. Hey, Will, just saw you up. Will, I tried to call you. I fell asleep pretty early last night, so I apologize. I didn't see your text. I woke up this morning, so I shot you a call. I left you a voicemail. And if you want, you and I can chat a little bit after this. Let's see who else we got in here. A few enhancements, and lower down the right, the prosecutor is finally seeing eye to eye. It came to a 1-year minimum. Good news, guys. That's awesome to hear. So let's read this last email here. This was from Serge. Serge used to be in the room until he headed off to Lompoc. I think he's been there a couple months now, about 3 months maybe. Hey Dan, I met Todd yesterday. Must say, really good guy with a super positive attitude. We walked the track for a few laps last night, and we went through a lot of things about his new home for the next 5 to 7 years. He will need to clear medical here in the next week or two in order to find a job to be able to keep his mind busy and get into a nice routine. There are numerous jobs here that are offered. I recommended the job of a cowboy here, which is a limited and only available to inmates with 5 years or more, if I'm not mistaken. It is a privilege to get that job here. So it sounds like there's a cowboy job there, and I'm not sure what that entails. I don't know if you're like riding around on a horse with a rope and a lasso and, wrangling cattle or whatever, but that's cool that they got jobs there for guys that have a little bit longer of a sentence to make sure they can get somewhat of a better job in order to be able to do their time a little bit easier. But I got to tell you guys, when I spoke to Todd, I spoke to him yesterday and I spoke to him the day before yesterday. I have never spoken to somebody that was in such a good mood, his spirits, and Will, this, I really want you to be listening to this because I know you're, I'm assuming you're still in a little bit of a funk from the information you've been getting. So Todd just got sentenced, or not just, Todd just started his 9-year sentence, and his attitude was amazing. So why is Todd's attitude so good about what he's dealing with, and so many other people are really in a funky place? It's Todd has accepted that this is what it is, and there's nothing he can do to change it. The only thing he can do now is work and strive to put out positivity, so whatever things that can happen, like RDAP, halfway house, different things like that, anything that could potentially come his way, he's ready for it. He's putting out the good energy, and he's accepted the fact that he's just got to go do what he's got to do. So for those of you that are potentially getting ready to look at a sentence, you're looking at time, a lot of you aren't looking at nearly that much time. Will, you're looking at potentially a year, and I know your attorney gave you some frustrating information where he told you that the year is what the judge is going to give you because it was the plea deal that you agreed to. But the judge also said, or your attorney also said in the very next sentence, when you asked him, isn't it up to the judge? The one thing your attorney said is what you have to pay attention to. He said, I don't see the judge giving you a lesser sentence because that's not something he normally does. Something to that effect. What you got to understand is the judges are used to seeing things in a certain pattern. They're used to seeing people beg. They're used to seeing people use their kids and their parents, and they're used to, all kinds of excuses. Your letters, you've got some really good letters. You've got a good allocution that you're going to attempt to read. You're not asking the judge to do anything for you other than allow you to do your time the best way possible and allow you to come out of prison a better person. Those are the type of letters that you have that if it has the opportunity to make a chance with a judge, to make a difference with a judge, that's the type of letter that can do it. That's what we've seen with so many other clients. So try not to get too down on yourself. Try not to, I know you guys are focused on, what are you going to do when you get out of prison? What's going to be available for you? There's a lot of careers out there, guys. I've got another, he's not a client yet, somebody that I'm talking with, this guy, Jerry, who is looking at some federal prison time. And him and his wife have a pretty nice company doing trucking. They do trucking, and they do everything from trucking. They have the driving aspect of it. They also have the logistics part of it, where they actually find the jobs. They're like a middleman. It's like, okay, this person's got a load here, this person's got a truck, so they put the two together and they take a piece of it. There's big money in that industry, and you can get into that type of a business without a ton of money. You can start off working for somebody, and you can work your way up. And these are 6-figure-a-year incomes, guys. These are careers that you can turn into whatever you want to turn it into. There's a lot of opportunity out there for ex-felons that are willing to put in the time and the work when they release from prison. Don't use all of these negative, defeating thoughts where you think that there's not going to be anything available for you, because what that does is it just creates this void that makes you want to give up and say, what's the point on doing all of this if I'm just going to get out of prison and be stuck at a minimum wage job hating my life? That's not going to be the case. Now, will you take a shitty job when you get out of prison? You might have to for a minute because you're going to be in the halfway house, and the halfway house can be a struggle. And you may, your halfway house may be really far from your home, so you may not want to go start a career when you're 50 miles or more away from your house. You're going to go take whatever BS job you can take just to not spend your time in the halfway house. But once you get through that halfway house, guys, you're going to be in the halfway house, 3, 6, 9, 12 months, and then your life's going to be, boom, it's going to be yours again. So you have to start preparing for what it is that you want to do when you release from prison. Start doing your research. Start looking at companies and careers that felons can get into. You can't just sit around and say there's nothing and not fucking do anything about it and not take a look on the internet and see what's out there. If you're doing that, all you're doing is complaining, and nobody wants to hear somebody bitch, whine, and moan. Now, I get it. That's my job. My job is to allow you to vent, but then after you're done venting, my job is to close your fucking vent and tell you that your vent's full of hot air. And if you don't go out and make something for yourself, you're just going to continue to be this sorry victim that you're allowing yourself to be. I don't mean that to be harsh, but I've spoken to a lot of you lately, and I get it. When you get some bad news, you have to allow yourself to take that moment to go through it and process it. But you can't live there. You can't live in that shitty thought pattern because it's no good for you. It's no good for your family. Those are the kind of thoughts that can spawn out of control. It can make you make a bad decision like, let me go drink tonight. Let me go use some drugs tonight. And you don't know where that leads to, because when you're already in such a funky mood and you think you're going to go get rid of it with drinking and alcohol, all that's going to do is intensify it to the point where you might do something really stupid, like decide it's a good idea to go drive your car while you're fucking drunk, and you end up killing yourself or you end up killing other people. There's all kinds of bad outcomes and consequences that can come from your choices right now if you don't get a grasp on things. So it's super important to maintain a positive attitude and not an unrealistic one. I'm not telling you guys you're all going to become millionaires when you get out of prison and life's going to be a fucking cakewalk. I'm not saying that. I'm saying identify that you're going to have obstacles, identify that there's going to be some hurdles that you got to deal with, and just realize that you can get over them. Life is a numbers game. And for those of you that have been in sales and you've done things before, you know, the difference between a good salesman and a great salesman is usually not the guy's ability to sell. It's usually his ability to persevere and move forward and keep making those phone calls. If you're in every person you talk to, it takes 10 people before you're going to get a sale. Okay, so your plan is I'm going to talk to as many people as I can today, 50 to 100 people, because that might be, 5 to 10 sales. You know what your threshold is once you get out there. Once you get your resume going, once you start going out there, somebody's going to say yes, somebody's going to give you a chance, and that's all you need. Get your foot in the door and then allow your personality to do the rest. Your work ethic and your personality can go a long way. If you've got a shitty work ethic and a shitty personality, you're never going to get anywhere because you're not going to last. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there a little bit. And, this video is intended for everybody, but I know a lot of you are going through a mental struggle right now. Will, did you go pick up that book, or were you able to find it? I know you said you were going to head off and go grab it. Were you able to pick up Awaken the Giant? Because I know for you right now, that would be a very, very, very good book for you to pick up and start reading, because you need to hear that stuff in the book, because it's really going to be talking directly to you. And same thing with you, Jesse Tang. You need to get control of what's going on. You got it today? Fucking A. That's what I like to hear. You see, as much as you guys, and as much as I sit here and might beat up on you guys and it sounds like I'm, bashing you and talking shit to you, I'm really not. Like, Will, you're in a funky mood. Spoke to you the other day. I could hear it in your voice. You were like, what's the point? I'm doing all of this. And it's like, nothing's going to come back to me. It's like, dude, this is life. Life is not always going to, just because you work hard doesn't mean you're always going to get what you want when you want it, right? That's called immediate gratification. But I'm telling you, if you continue to work hard, even when shit doesn't go your way, at some point, the universe is going to unfold itself and it's going to realign, and you're going to start seeing good things happen. It takes time, though. If you're way overweight and you go to the gym today, you're not going to see the results tomorrow. You might start feeling mental results. You might feel better about yourself, but you're not physically, you're not going to see this stuff until maybe several weeks or several months down the road. You pick on yourself, Jesse. You bring it on. I mentioned something in here and you say we're talking to you. So if we're talking to you and we're talking about you, or we're talking about things that relate to you, you must like the abuse. You keep coming back, right? Some of us do like the abuse. Some of us like any kind of attention. Any attention is better than no attention for some people. That's why you meet those characters when you go out that are just like, they make giant fools of themselves because they get attention. And without that attention, they get no attention. So they'd rather get the negative attention than any attention at all. So it's, people have to really be able to take deep looks at themselves and be able to find out who they are and what makes them tick. And you're not just going to answer that by asking the question. It's going to require a process of learning who you are all over again. Thanks, Jay. How are you doing today, Jay? I know, I know you're going through some stuff. I know everybody in this room is, some of you are at different levels. Some of you have done more accepting than others. Some of you are working on it, but every single one of you is going through something. I get it. Your family, your case, your animals, it doesn't matter what it is. Everybody in here is going through something. That's why we all join the weekend update with RDAP. I didn't mean to make today so serious, but I guess this is where the universe took us today. But I think it's real important that people need to start helping people more. Those of you that got things to share and you're going through a lot right now, I'm telling you, turn on your camera and record yourself. Just talk about it. Doesn't mean you have to do anything with it. What's up, Josie? We got the famous makeup artist Josie in the house. Speaking of makeup, Josie, I know you have a makeup channel. And can you tell I'm wearing makeup right now, by the way? I don't know what kind of makeup I have, but I got some makeup from Sephora because everybody in this room tells me I'm super shiny. Like I look like I wiped bacon grease on my face before the video. Somebody put that in a comment. Hey, Dan, did you use bacon grease on your forehead before you started this video? It's like, what the fuck? That is so mean. It's like, no, I'm just a really oily kind of guy. But, so yeah, I bought some makeup. No, I'm wearing makeup and powder. You think I'm lying? Hold on, guys. I'm going to go show you guys what I'm wearing because Josie thinks I'm full of shit. I never ever thought I'd be on YouTube talking about makeup, especially here we are on a federal prison channel and I'm talking about makeup. So Josie, you probably know this stuff. This is the makeup. I don't know if I put on too much or not enough. I don't know. And then the lady's like, oh, you got to get something to set it. So maybe I just got sold a bill of goods. I don't know. So I got this stuff. So give me some feedback, Josie. Am I doing the right thing here? Did I make a good purchase? Because I don't want to look like I rubbed my face in bacon grease before I got on YouTube. My kids are probably going to be like, oh my God, my dad's wearing makeup. What's next? So yeah, guys, it's real important to not only understand what's going on, but your daughter goes there, Jay. I know, so do mine. My girlfriend goes there. I didn't know where else to go. I needed to go somewhere where I could talk to somebody about what I needed. If you go to like Walgreens, and there's nobody there. I'm just staring at a bunch of makeup, not knowing what the fuck I'm looking at. So at least at Sephora, you know, there's a bunch of women that work there that are paid to like tell you what you need. So I don't know, like $30 in makeup. Having the right state of mind throughout this process is going to be the most important thing you can do. Your letters are important. Knowing what to say in your PSR is important. Knowing how to qualify for RDAP is important. Trying to get additional halfway house is important. Yes. But those are almost set in stone type things. Those are things that can be done without any... Tell you how to do it once, get the process right, help you with your letters, boom, yes. Done deal. Everything else in the middle is where the struggle lives. Your anger, your anxiety, you're unwilling to accept reality. You know, a lot of you are struggling with reality on what's really going on. A lot of you think that you can somehow change how things are going. You know, I know Juan Carlos, you're struggling with that right now. You know, you're reaching out to all these different attorneys and you're trying to get something different to happen. Did I wear makeup in prison? No, I did not wear makeup in prison, Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos, your fee just doubled. I'm going to send you an invoice when we hang up this call. But you guys have to, at some point, you have to accept the process, as fucked up as it may be, and as unfair as it may seem, and as much work as you may be putting in to try to get a different result. And sometimes you don't get that result. You don't hear what you think you're going to hear. You think you're doing all this information, you're helping, you're cooperating, you're doing all this stuff, and then they only want to give you a little bit. It's like, yeah, we'll give you an extra 3 days off your sentence. And you're like, what the fuck? I don't want to go through all this if that's all I'm going to get. But you don't have a choice. You know, 3 days is 3 days. Now, depending on, for those of you that are going to decide to cooperate, for those of you that are going to decide to 5K1, for those of you that are going to decide to possibly Rule 35, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to say you should or you shouldn't. That's not my place. It's nobody in here's place. You know that better than anybody else. The only thing I say is just make sure you're thinking of the future. If you're doing all these 5K1s and Rule 35s, make sure you know who you're doing it on. Make sure it's not going to put you in danger. Make sure it's not going to put your friends, your family in danger. It's not going to change. It's not going to put your lifestyle in danger, because for most of you, when you do release, you're going to go back to the same area. So if you Rule 35 to a bunch of people, you got to make sure that you can deal with whatever consequences can come back from that. So, I had another client, a lady out of Miami, who was going to do that as well, because they were telling her she might receive a 40 to a 50% reduction on her sentence. But she didn't realize that A, she only gets that reduction once they prosecute and find them guilty. And B, she didn't realize that when the discovery came out, it was going to be released that she was the one that leaked all that information. So she's like, well, fuck, I can't go back home to where I live in Miami, in this area where all of these people live that are going to know that I did this. I can't show my face if I do that. I'd rather go serve my 40-month sentence, and with RDAP and halfway house and things like this, I can be out in a year and a half. And you do a Rule 35, you still might serve your full sentence, because how many of you have been going on in your cases where it's taken 2, 3, 4 years before they finally indicted you or finally found you guilty or you finally took your plea? So if that's the case, for a lot of you, you'll already be out before the Rule 35 can even kick in. But yet the Rule 35 is still going to happen. Those people are still getting indicted, and they're still going to know you're the one that brought that information. So you just got to really kind of have a full view of the entire process, not just the part that's benefiting you right now. What are going to be the long-term consequences from your today's actions? Hold on, I got to read these awesome makeup tips from Josie real quick here before I go any further, guys. Priorities, okay? Priorities. A primer and setting powder. I can see why they told you to get those. It'll mattify your face and hide the oil. I mean, you do have to wear makeup on TV and stuff, so I get needing it on camera, honestly. All right, so Josie gave me her blessing, and being she's the expert on makeup on YouTube, I'm just going to go ahead and trust her word for it. So if you guys want to pick up your Urban Decay Optical Illusion Complexion Primer, you can get it today at Sephora. Sephora should pay me for that makeup. It should have been free. But no makeup didn't wear makeup in the low. Didn't wear makeup in prison. Didn't do it. So Josie, you have a loved one, right? Is it your husband or your boyfriend? He's in the feds, I think you were telling me, correct? We were chatting on YouTube a little bit. Josie's also an administrator for another YouTube channel for it's Tammy, right? That's whose channel you do? For Tammy Light, I believe. So she's an administrator on there, and I'm not sure what that really entails, other than I think she just helps answer questions. Like in these live chats, she'll probably answer questions for them and maybe like throw little plugs in like, hey, go subscribe to Tammy's channel. I'm getting to the point where I would really like to have an administrator. Somebody that can like make sure and bleep out the idiots that come in the room. The trolls, the South Park trolls. I love the fucking word trolls. Whenever there's a troll in the room, I immediately think of South Park. That's where I first heard about it. If you guys watch things like South Park, Family Guy, John Oliver, you really learn a lot about what's going on in the world, almost in an entertaining type of a way, because it's all relative current stuff that's going on in today's world. So, Dan, Jesse, I don't even know you. You won't even call me. How are you going to be my administrator if we can't have a conversation on the phone? There's got to be trust, my man. I got to be able to trust you, and you got to be able to trust me. So you have to be able to share. Sharing is caring. So if you want to give me a call and tell me what's going on in your situation, tell me all about your issues, then we can discuss that. But I am going to be looking for an administrator. Sephora does need to sponsor me. Son of a bitches. But it's Saturday. Everybody should be having an awesome day. Hope you guys are going to do something really, really fun and exciting and maybe family oriented, maybe friend oriented, safe, and not going to cause you any issues. Nobody's going to go get in trouble. Nobody's going to jump off the deep end this weekend. We're all going to have fun. We're all going to realize that, man, this shit's out of my control. I'm going to do what I can focus on, which is I can focus on my attitude. I can focus on the type of letters that I put out. I can focus on preparing. I can focus on talking to my family and making sure they know all of these things. And I'm going to go to the comedy club tonight. We're going to go watch a comedian. And I watched him on YouTube and he sucked. So I'm probably just going to go enjoy the atmosphere with Shelly, her brother, and his girlfriend. So, you know, be a nice little date night with a comedian that probably sucks. If you have no gun, violent charge, or victims, just a drug charge, will I go to a low? Jay, I would imagine, you know, unless you've got, you know, high points, I imagine you'd probably go to a camp. If I have no gun or violent charge or victims, just a drug charge. I mean, your gun charges, you're more than likely going to go to a camp, Jay. But it depends on, like, criminal history, not your base offense level. Like, when I say your points, don't think of your base offense level. Like, my base offense level was a 37, and I was a criminal history category 0 or 1 or whatever the lowest on the table was. And I went to a low, but it wasn't because of that. I went to a low because I had a detainer out of Georgia that the case wasn't dispositioned properly, so it still showed open, even though it wasn't open. It was a mistake. But because it never got filed properly, hey, Dan, you need to talk to me. Oh, did you have a question up there, Will? Did I miss one? Oh, I see it. The state has a camp and a low also, right? Now, I know they have different custody levels, Will. Like, they're not going to, you know, once you get classified, which that's what will happen once you get sentenced, you'll get classified. Once you're classified, they're going to determine where you go, and you're going to go as a low, you know, like a camp type of a place as you can go. I don't know exactly what that means, like, versus how it works in the feds, but I can tell you almost 99.9% that you're going to go somewhere that's going to be not a political type of an environment. Now, things that I hear about state is sometimes like they don't always have AC going. You know, the food can suck. But as far as like the violence and the political stuff that goes on, that is going to be similar because they can't mix, you know, hardened criminals, violent, killing, gang-related. They can't mix that with people that are just like they made a fucking mistake and they're going to go into prison. They've got to keep them separate, or else shit would just be happening off all the time. So have some peace of mind on that, Will, that knowing if you do go, you're going to go somewhere that's laid back, that's not going to be violent. I don't know how the amenities, you know, I don't know if it's going to have the same type of stuff that they have in the federal prisons. I'm sure different state by state is a little bit different, but we can do some research on, and that's a good thing about when I do my video next week with Joe from After Prison Show. You're asking if I need to talk to you? I mean, yeah, I think you and I should have a conversation. I want to see, have you jumped into that book at all yet? You know, just because of how you were when we left off on the last call, I know you're a little down on yourself, and you know, I know you at the end of the call, you were like, "Thanks, man, needed that," and I could see you were probably going to end and go in a positive direction. But I kind of like to see where you are right now in your mind. You know, look, I want to get everybody to the point where Todd was at. You know, Todd's been like the prototype of how people can go from, you know, wanting to jump off of a cliff to, yeah, I'm on my way to go self-surrender. We're going to stop and get some breakfast. It's a beautiful day outside. And I'm going to go start my 9-year sentence here in about 2 hours. It's like, that's where I want to get you guys, because doesn't that sound insane? Doesn't it sound insane to be driving to prison, knowing you're going to go turn yourself in for a 9-year sentence, Todd the Godfather, Doesn't it? It just sounds insane to be able to go, yeah, and I'm totally okay with that. As okay as you can be. I mean, I'm sure he's not like, ooh, I'm going to prison, but at the same time, he's like, fuck, I'm going to prison. I might as well make the best of it. And he's really got that attitude. Like, I don't think he's faking or putting on a front, because he's been maintaining that ever since he got sentenced. Todd's been a new man. Literally like a newfound reason to live. And I would like to see everybody get like that. I want to see everybody make the necessary steps, put in the work, put in the effort. Because if you're not putting in the work, you're not putting in the effort, and you're just dwelling about it and you're awfulizing about it, you're just going to continue to make yourself sick, because your mind, I promise you, your mind is making it worse than what the reality is going to be. There is zero question. You're welcome, Jay. And guys, don't ever feel like you're bugging me. Like, if you go a couple days and you don't hear from me, God, text the shit out of me. Dan, I need a call. I'm having a bad day. Text me. Like Will texted me last night. It wasn't late. It was like 9:30 at night. I just wasn't feeling too hot last night. Went to bed a little bit early, but it doesn't matter. If I don't see it and don't hear it, I'll respond the next day. But at least I'll know that, hey, last night you were having a minute, you were having a moment, you needed something. So it lets me know to try to reach out to you the next day or the next moment I have. So use my use my cell phone number, guys. Text me, email me, call me, whatever it is that you need to do in that moment, because those are the things that are going to help you deal with the anxiety. Nothing we do is going to rid your anxiety. You're never going to be like, oh, I'm anxiety free. Thanks, Dan. But what you will find is, when your anxiety starts to build up a little bit, you're immediately going to go, you know what? Before this gets out of control, let me go deal with it. Because we all know each other, right? Like, yourself. You know how you get. When you start getting frustrated, when you start getting negative, you know what that means. You know what's coming next. What's coming next is I'm going to go lay in bed. I'm going to go turn the TV on. I'm going to go turn off all the lights. I'm going to sit there and dwell and think about all this, how shitty my life is right now. When you catch yourself going in that direction, that is when you have to work the hardest and go, let me call Dan. Let me call my mom. Let me call whoever it is that can be that person for you in that moment, that can get you out of it and not coddle you. Not go, it's going to be okay. The judge is going to see you're a good guy, and he's probably not going to sentence you to any time. They only sentence bad people to prison. You're not a bad person. They're going to see that. I know you guys are hearing that from your friends and your family, and it's not because your friends and family want to lie to you. It's because your friends and family don't know how the system really works, and they're probably under the disillusion that they do not send good people to prison. Good people go to prison every day, and it's not because they're bad. It's because they made a couple of poor decisions. Doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you susceptible to shitty decisions and irrational thinking. That's all. We can correct that shit. Fuck it. We got this. We got this. We're going to fix the world. One person at a time. I think any time will suck, but use it for good and you'll be okay. That's right. You got to just find things like, Josie's a prison wife. And in a lot of ways, that's just as hard as being the prisoner. In some ways, it's harder, especially us. I mean, look, her boyfriend's at a low in the federal system, which means he's exercising, he's probably cooking, he's probably taking classes, he's probably not hating life. He misses his girlfriend, he misses food, he misses the touch of a woman, he misses those things. But as far as like the frustrations in life, lows are pretty laid back. I spent my time at a low, and I can't say all lows are the same, but it's not rough. You're not going to go in there and go, oh man, all right, who do I got to go punch first? Who do I got to go shank? All right, I'm going to go find the biggest, baddest mother effer, and I'm going to just stab them in the throat 16 times so they know not to mess with me. No, it doesn't work like that. You're going to go find the biggest, baddest dude in there, and you're going to be like, hey man, can I get some coffee from you? And he's going to be like, why, certainly, sir. Would you like one scoop or two? That's, would you like some Grey Poupon with that? I mean, you're going to a cushier place versus what you guys have this mindset of. It ain't that bad. Trust me, I got through it, and I'm no tough guy. I can hold my own. I got my little MMA background and mixed martial arts and stuff, but by no means am I going to walk into a prison that's gangland where, the white boy that's going to go get his ass whipped by gang members because I got a 5K1? I would have had no chance. It doesn't matter if I'm, America's top ninja. It's just not happening. I know what you mean, Josie, but go ahead and explain that thought process, because what you're talking about right now is you're talking about what I think you mean is you did not think it was going to be like this, meaning you thought prison was going to be worse. Like, I'm sure he sent you some pictures and he's probably getting buff. Hopefully he's taking time to get buff. So Josie's telling you basically the stuff that he worried about doesn't even really matter. So he's probably you're talking about like violence, gangs, politics, black, white, Spanish, who do you have to hang out with, paperwork. Yeah, but he was like an old man, Chris. And the point was I didn't, because I didn't need to. That was the thing, is you don't need to prove yourself in federal prison. You can walk away from a fight. You can walk away from somebody talking shit to you, and it's not going to be held against you later on. What's up, Kimberly? Jesse, say that again. Oh no, one fight could be it. We lost you in translation on that one, Jesse. I feel like I use this company called Upwork when I need some like graphics and stuff like that done. It's you find these guys that work out of like India and stuff to communicate with, and they usually talk by Skype, but they do really high quality work for peanuts. But the communication sounds like something that Jesse just said. Oh no, one fight could be it. So we're not sure what you just I'm not sure what you just said, Jesse. I'm not sure what language you were chatting in there. What would Juan say? I missed him over here. Juan Carlos. I want to know where you came up with that name. Free El Chapo. Yeah, El Chapo's next on my list. We're gonna get him out next. We're gonna write some personal narratives and character reference letters for El Chapo and get him released. But guys, if you guys didn't see my other video that I posted yesterday, you got to go check it out, because it's a short video. It's only like 2 or 3 minutes long, and for a lot of you that might be wanting to hire a prison consultant, but you just don't have the necessary funds, we have a promotion that we're going to run here for the next couple of days. And we haven't launched it just yet, so if any of you have already texted me on it, don't think you've missed anything, because I'm probably going to release what we're going to do for everybody probably on Monday. But basically, all you need to do is text the word RDAP, R-D-A-P, to 35074 if you want to take advantage of this promotion. And the reason why we're doing this is because there's prison consultants out there charging upwards of $15,000, taking advantage, using fear, scaring people into thinking that, there's nothing that somebody's going to do for you that's going to be worth $15,000. Not to say $15,000 isn't worth getting time off your sentence, but every single thing that there's not a prison consultant out there that offers you a service for $15,000 that I'm not offering for a fraction of the price. And to make sure that we shut these fucking people down to the point where they got to reduce their price or disappear off the face of the earth, if I have to lower my prices even more for a short period of time just to saturate the market, and that's how this market works, right? Supply and demand. If the $15,000 guy is the only guy with the supply, then everybody's going to go pay $15,000. But if the new kid on the block has got the same supply, and he's got even a better supply, and he's charging a fraction of the price, well, now that $15,000 guy looks like an asshole. So to you, Mr. $15,000 guy, you are an asshole. And I honestly wish I wish you could be charged for taking advantage of people. It's just like drugs, Jesse. It really is. And here's the thing. You've got guys that go to prison, right? And they go to prison and you look at what they went to prison for, and it was for some kind of a con or some kind of a scam or some kind of a securities fraud or mortgage fraud or real estate fraud or investment fraud, whatever it is. They went to prison for ripping people off. That's why they went to prison. And then they get out of prison, and they've got this ability and this opportunity to give back and help people. So they mask what they're really doing. They're charging you $15,000 by telling you they're giving back, and they're so happy they could help you. It blows my mind. It just blows my mind. And what it is you've got some of these really high-end white-collar criminals that really honestly, truly believe if they pay $15,000, they're going to get something different. And that's why these guys go through attorney after attorney. This is why Todd had, $250,000 in legal fees. He kept thinking the more money he spends, the better his outcome is going to be. It doesn't work that way 90% of the time, guys. What it is the feds fucking got you. So what you need to do is start working on your own stuff and letting your attorney work out your plea, whatever that's going to be is what it's probably going to be, because you're not going to go to trial for most of you. So working on what you can for yourself, narratives, reference letters, all this other basic stuff. Where the real due diligence comes in is what you guys are doing with your free time. Are you networking? Are you building mentor networks? Are you doing community service? Are you doing these things? Are you reporting weekly to your probation officer, updating him with all of the stuff that you're doing? A lot of you aren't, and you're going to wonder why you don't get the outcome that you're looking for. These are the things that Todd did, the Godfather Todd. These are the things that he did differently. We came up with a plan, and Todd stuck to it. That's why it's sickening. And look, Todd paid these other prison consultants. Todd paid one prison consultant $10,000. He paid another prison consultant $5,000. And when all he got was a very basic letter, he didn't get any lesson plans that he was promised. He didn't get any of this other shit that he was promised. And when he would start calling the consultant to ask him what was going on, the consultant would say, just go watch one of my videos. I just paid you $10,000. You better hold my hand. You better show up at my house. You better come feed me some food. You better, bring a psychiatrist over every time I'm having a bad thought. So when he finally got a hold of me, he was completely tapped out. It was almost, Todd paid me a couple bucks, but I didn't take Todd on because he could pay me a couple bucks. I took Todd on because I really felt like this guy got abused through the system so bad. And not the system of the federal system. He got abused through the system that's supposed to help him prepare for the federal system. It's a shit show. It's a fucking shit show. And there's people out there taking advantage of people every day. And it's in every industry. But I've got the ability now to make a stand, to make a difference. Not to brag, but as far as the world of prison consultants go, not talking about Joe and Big Herc, because they're not consultants, they're prison entertainers. But as far as the world of prison consultants go, RDAPdan's number one on YouTube, hands down. I've got more subscribers, more viewers, more videos, and I watch this stuff religiously. I watch the stats. I watch to see what other people are doing. And little by little, we're whittling away, and their fees are going to come down. You guys are going to see. You guys are going to see that their fees are going to start coming down. And when they come down, that's a fucking victory. Because now, the information that they do hold that's useful to help people, more people can get access to it because they're going to be forced to lower their price to where more people can now afford it. That's what we need. We need a universal system here that gives you guys information, because we don't need somebody fucking committing suicide because some asshole won't help them unless they have $15,000. So fuck you for charging somebody $15,000. I hope somebody gets pissed off and finds you. I'm not saying no names, Jesse. You can say all the names you want, but I'm just saying, if you're charging that much money, regardless what your name is, you're an asshole. You're an asshole. And to those white-collar criminals out there that don't think they can get help from somebody that, look, white-collar criminals, first-time offenders, nonviolent drug offenders, you guys are all in the same boat. That's the thing, is when you watch these videos and the sale tactic, the the whole methodical plan behind. Okay, here's what you see on YouTube. You're going to see these videos that are catered and directed at white collar criminals. But why is it catered at white collar criminals? If the white collar criminal and the first time nonviolent drug offender have the same issues, you've got the same fucking issues, right? Your crime might be different, but you're faced with the same obstacles. You're fucking afraid of prison. You don't know what prison's going to be like. What can you do to reduce your time? How can you get into RDAP? How can you get extra halfway house? How can you help me with my letters? So if you've got the same end result and you've got the same product needed, why? What is the purpose? Think about this, guys. What is the purpose at targeting only white-collar criminals? You want the fucking answer? It's because if you're only targeting white-collar criminals, it's because you assume white-collar criminals were in a high financial crime and they are willing and able to afford $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. So when you start targeting the nonviolent drug offenders who maybe weren't making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and you know that maybe they only made $30,000 or $40,000 a year, or not even that, you know that they can't afford your price, so you don't even want them to call you because you don't want to waste your time with them. You're a piece of shit if that's how you're running your business when you're out here telling how you want to help people. Your videos aren't helping people if you're not actually willing to help everybody that calls you and find something available for all of them. I'm just saying. I'm allowed to say what I want because it's my channel. There you go, Josie. The poor people, the middle class people, the rich people, they've all got the same fears. They've all got the same fears, which puts them all in the same boat. All of them. You shouldn't be getting different services based on what you can afford. You just shouldn't. Now, granted, if you can't afford anything, you've got, look, I don't care how fucking broke you are. I don't care if you're fucking broke and you don't have a job. If you need more than just these videos, if you need actual help, if you need letter writing and you need somebody to coach you through how to get into RDAP and prepare you and write your letters to the Grand Prairie and write letters to case manager coordinators to get additional halfway house, guess what? You're going to have to fucking scrape up and find some money, guys, because there is work that's required. It's not $15,000 worth of work, but there is work that, so you have to be willing to offer something. You know, if I come at you and say, hey, it's $14.95 and you can't afford $14.95, you know, find out a payment plan. Ask me, hey, what can I do to get started? I can give you this to get started and work out payments. You got to figure something out because you can't put yourself in the victim shoe and go, well, this should be free. It shouldn't be free unless there's some other funding source like YouTube starts paying and there's funding coming from somewhere, then we can give it away for free. But till it gets there, you guys have to be under the assumption that it's going to cost you something, but it's not going to be ridiculous. So you might have to cut some corners, you might have to make some decisions, you might have to make some sacrifices, but if it's going to get you home to your family quicker, it's going to help your well-being, it's going to help you know what's going on, it's going to help you lower that anxiety, then it's worth whatever it is that you can afford to pay. It's worth it. It's worth it. You just can't assume. I get people going, I thought you were going to do this for free. It's like, I can't do it for free. Like, how can I survive if I do it for free? You know, I try to give you guys as much content as possible. If you guys notice, I don't give you bait content. When I say bait content, I'm not saying call me to find out about this. I tell you guys, you know, how to get RDAP, how to get halfway house. I tell you guys, you know, basically what needs to go into your letters. But I also understand that sometimes just knowing isn't enough. And that's what I've tried to express to all these other prison consultants when I've talked to them and said, hey, let's give all of this information on the internet. Let's just fucking put it out there. You're still going to get clients because there's going to be people that don't have the time, they don't have the will, they don't have the drive to do it on their own. So even though we've given you the complete recipe A to Z, there's still the group of you that needs the assistance. Those of you that are able to go do it on your own, I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying double check and make sure you're going in the right direction. I don't know why I'm so pissed off today. Fucking A. I'm kind of pissed off for a Saturday. I posted a picture on Facebook. Me and Shelly were in New York back in November, and we went to this cool little New York City bar, and I had a drink. I had a vodka and tonic. And I'm allowed to drink. Probation doesn't say I can't drink. I went to RDAP, yes. So I have to make sure that I don't allow myself to become a retard. But I had a drink, and man, people blew me up, and I guess that's part of when I'm on here as rdapdan, and I'm proclaiming all these things that people should do in the lifestyles that can help people live better lifestyles. People have to know. You got to know your triggers. You have to know your limits. You have to know what you can do. You can't lie to yourself. I knew for me, a drink isn't. I could go. I'm not an alcoholic. Never have been. I'm a social drinker. So when I see all these posts on, oh my God, you're relapsing, you're going to be back in prison, it's like, wow. People really like to just jump to high-end conclusions. And I get it. There are plenty of people out there that they can't just have a drink. It's going to go off the deep end. But man, it's like, I almost enjoy reading the fucked up comments as much as I enjoy reading the the thoughtful thank you type comments. But when I read comments from people that are ruthless, I fucking hate you. I can't stand the way you sound. Your videos fucking suck. I wish you would die. It's like, man, somebody really read something or saw something that I did that bothered them so much that they felt the urge to go do that. And I don't even know what to say when I read that stuff. I used to get upset and it used to hurt my feelings, but it no longer does. It almost it's invigorating. It's like, yeah, at least they're watching my videos. Love or hate, bring it on. Hey Josie, if you're still here, take it easy. I appreciate you popping in. So yeah, guys, we're look, one day at a time. If it takes a year, if it takes 2 years, if it takes 3 years, I am going to make sure. And I've spoken to other prison consultants that feel the same way. Larry Levine, he's and I didn't know how to feel about this guy originally. I had heard some stuff about him from other prison consultants, and it was my fault. I should not have listened to something. I should not have listened to information third party, and allowed myself to base an opinion on somebody without getting to know them. So that was a flaw in my character. But after having several conversations with Larry Levine, he's the big bald guy that wears the sunglasses on all of his videos. And he does a lot of TV stations, news. I'll tell you what, I had some conversations with the guy, and he's fucking knowledgeable. He knows what he's doing, and it doesn't sound like he's taking advantage of people. It sounds like he's putting in good work, and he's actually helping people get good results. And he's also completely fed up and frustrated with seeing consultants charging $10,000, $15,000. And not only are these consultants charging this, guys, the clients aren't getting what they paid for. It's getting to the point where the clients are upset and frustrated, and they can't get a hold of you. That's not good. Eventually, at some point, that shit is going to 360 you right in the ass. And then rdapdan will be the only one on YouTube. So, I'm going to slay the dragon. rdapdan versus the world. How's that sound? rdapdan versus every prison consultant. Jealousy, whatever it is, it's all good. It's all good in the hood, right? That's what they say in the ghetto. I've lived in the ghetto before. I've been all over the place. I've lived when I grew up. I was, I was poor, super poor. Had lucky to have some ramen noodles laying around. And then as I got older, I had this drive that I have now where I always wanted something and I always craved it. So I worked hard, and I was able to, get the house, the car, things like that. And then I made some more bad decisions and ended up in prison. And now I'm out of prison and redefining myself all over again. And for the first time at 38 years old, almost 39, I think I finally found a routine that works for me, that fulfills my need to work for myself and fulfills my need to have my own thing. But at the same time, I've also fulfilled my need to be completely transparent and completely honest, completely ethical. In everything I do, I think about how would this look if I made this decision today? If I do what I want to do right now, how would it look to others? And if I can say either I don't really care how it looks to them because I know what my intentions and what I'm trying to do. If I can sleep at night with what I do, that's all that matters. And I sleep fucking great. Well, I'm not ghetto. Not ghetto Jesse. It's not ghetto Dan. It's RDAP Dan. Prison Dan. But, it just is what it is. I just wish more people would wake up and realize that the situation they're in, that they can learn from so many other people. That's the thing that's why I like doing. Look, I I feel like I'm relatable. I don't feel like I'm on here. I don't have a script. If you guys look at my desk, look, there's no script. I don't have anything. The only thing I have on my desk that's scripted, we're going to give you guys a view of RDAP Dan's desk. Make sure I don't have anything in here inappropriate. All right. That's what we got. That's what we got on RDAP Dan's desk. Nothing here. I keep some side notes. That's about it. Just remember, I want to tell you guys certain things like text the word YouTube to 35074. Ooh, I'll cut my head off there. Text the word YouTube to 35074 to make sure you receive notifications of my live upcoming streams, my upcoming videos. If you're looking for subsistence and you're looking for help with getting ready to go to federal prison and you can't afford $1,500, I get that. Not everybody can. The best thing you could be doing right now is text the word RDAP, RDAP, to 35074, and that will put you into a different group to get a notification here in the next day or so, letting you know on this awesome price that we're going to release for a very limited time, and you're only going to know what that price is if you text 35074. Now that only applies to new clients. It doesn't apply to anybody that's already a client. And the reason why that is, it's not entirely my choice. I do have a sponsor that is coming in to help me with this, and he's somebody who is in this industry that is completely fed up with the bullshit that these other consultants are doing. So he's willing to allow me to reduce the price drastically and pick up the difference. But he's only doing it for people that haven't already become a client. So if I've already spoken to you and you haven't signed up yet, then yes, it can apply to you. But if you've already signed up and you're already engaged in a payment plan, you've already made a payment, fortunately I can't do anything for you, so don't hate me for it. It's these things pop up when they pop up, and I take advantage of them because I know there's so many out there that really do need the help. And as long as we can cover cost on it, on what we're going to put out for it, then fucking A, man, we're all for it. So right now we're waiting to see how many people actually do it so we can see what the actual price is going to be. But I can tell you guys, if you need help with preparing for federal prison and you're not sure how to do your narratives and your character reference letters, even though I've got videos on the basics on it, if you're not sure how to do that, if you're not sure how to prepare for RDAP, if you're not sure what you need to do to get into RDAP, if you're not sure what you need to do to get the additional halfway house time, if you feel like you need that one-on-one coaching process where you're feeling frustrated and you're getting shitty information from your attorney and you don't know what questions to ask and you need to find out how to get your state of mind right, then text the word RDAP to 35074 and you might be happy. You might get something that you're not going to get anywhere else. I can promise you that right now. My price is already lower than everybody else's. I guarantee you, if anybody's got a lower price than me, they're lying. They're lying, unless it's like some ebook. And here's a book that's got some form letters in there. Have fun. Don't ever call me again. Man, the guys that are charging $15,000 don't do what I do. I know it because I talk to you guys that have paid it. And they're like, fuck, I wish I'd found you sooner because these guys took my money and they don't ever return my phone calls. Why do people do that? If I was charging $15,000 and people were paying that, you would get like a golden shirt. A shirt laced in gold. You would get something ridiculous because I don't know what I would be able to do to feel like you got $15,000 worth of something. Well, anyway, we're about an hour and 15 minutes into this live stream. It seems like we didn't have any Comcast issues today. It seems like we had a good video. We know what's going on with Todd. For those of you that missed it, Todd's at prison. Serge, who's also in prison at Lompoc, sent me a message, said he walked the track with Todd last night. Todd's in a great mood. He's going to try to help Todd get an awesome job being a cowboy. I'm not sure what that means, but maybe Todd's going to put on some boots, a cowboy hat, get a rope, a vest, a horse. I don't know. But whatever it is, guys, we're making progress, and that's about it. That's all I got for today. I'm going to go clean my house. I'm going to go walk my dogs, and I'm going to think about what we're going to do for Monday. The deal in, yeah. That's pretty much it you nailed it on the head, Will, is these guys are so used to running cons and scams. It's almost like they're using this as a front with the illusion that they're trying to help you, but really they're just after the $15,000. Because if they really wanted to help people, there'd be a lot more people getting the help, you know. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, John. If any of you look, I've got what time is it? It is 2:00. I'm not leaving till around 6 to go to the comedy club tonight, guys. So if you need anything, I'll be home. I'll just be doing some stuff around the house. Shelly's out grocery shopping, so I'm probably just going to turn on Pandora and wash my makeup off my face and do some interesting stuff here at home. So if you guys need anything, I can talk with you. We can have a chat. Clients, non-clients. I don't want to be president, but I do want to be, you know, Mr. YouTube. Anyway, you guys have an amazing weekend. I hope to hear from you guys. If you're having a bad day or you're having a bad week, please, guys, fucking pick up the phone and call me or text me or email me. Let me know what's going on. Use me as your vent, and then just realize I'm probably going to punch you in the face with some information you need to hear. Edward, you made it for me to say goodbye to you. That's about all. So you're going to have to rewatch Edward. Too late. But Edward, make sure you restart it when I hang up on this, because we already spoke to Todd, so we know what Todd's up. We know what's up with Todd. We know where he's at. He's doing good. So you got to watch the video from the beginning. Oh yeah, John Goff, you should be my administrator, because you remind people to subscribe and like my videos more than I do. In the famous words of John Goff, if you haven't already subscribed to RDAPdan, do so now. Do so now. Also, click on the bell. Click on the bell up at the top right hand of your screen when you subscribe to me, because that will give you notifications on top of the notifications if you text the word YouTube to 35074. So as always, community is method, people helping people. We're going to start slaying the beast. Those $15,000 pricks that are out there ripping people off, we're coming for you next. RDAPdan, you guys have a fun weekend. Love you all. I got to go over here so I can hit the stop streaming button. Oh, wait, before we leave, one little thing here real quick. Don't go anywhere just yet, because Prison Dan wants to say goodbye. Later, guys.